I need to borrow your car right quick.
What kind of shit is that? Most people want to borrow sugar or even ketchup. You want to borrow my car? Hell no!
Friday, 1995, cast drops, secrets fans missed for decades. What if I told you that one of the most beloved comedies of all time almost never got made? That the movie that launched Chris Tucker's career and gave us Bye Felicia was born from frustration, nearly destroyed friendships, and hides secrets that would shock even the biggest fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible, sometimes heartbreaking story behind the 1995 classic Friday. From Ice Cube's desperate attempt to change Hollywood's narrative about black neighborhoods, to the casting drama that almost derailed everything, to the tragic feuds that tore the franchise apart. But before we get started, if you're ready for some seriously surprising revelations about your favorite movies, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into cinema history. Trust me, what you're about to discover will completely change how you watch this movie. And wait until you hear about the real-life tragedy that inspired some of the film's most memorable moments: the birth of a different vision. Picture this. It's the early 1990s, and Hollywood has a very specific idea of what black cinema should look like. Every movie about life in South Central LA follows the same formula: drugs, violence, despair. Boys in the Hood, menace to society, powerful films, but they painted neighborhoods with the same dark brush. Ice Cube was tired of it. Here was a guy who'd already conquered rap music with NWA, who'd proven his dramatic chops, but he saw something Hollywood was missing entirely. What was that missing piece that would revolutionize how we see these communities? Let us know in the comments what you think was missing from these early portrayals. The answer? Laughter, joy, the everyday moments that make these neighborhoods human. So Cube teamed up with his friend DJ Pooh, and together they decided to write something completely different. But here's where it gets interesting. And what happens next will surprise you about just how close this project came to dying before it ever began. The writing challenge. Nobody expected. You'd think writing a comedy would be easier than the intense dramas Ice Cube had been known for, right? Wrong. Completely wrong. Cube and DJ Pooh discovered something that would haunt the entire production. Comedy is brutally hard. They'd built their reputations on serious, hard-hitting content. Now they were trying to make people laugh while still keeping the authenticity of the neighborhood they knew. The script went through countless revisions. They'd write a scene, read it back, and realize it wasn't funny. Or it was funny, but felt fake. Or it was authentic, but too heavy. This balancing act nearly broke them. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source: DJ Pooh's own family experiences. The character dynamics, the neighborhood politics, even some of the specific incidents were pulled directly from real life. Cube's own childhood memories in South Central provided the emotional core. However, what they discovered during the writing process would later become the source of the biggest controversy in the franchise's history. But we'll get to that shocking revelation later. The studio gamble that changed everything. Here's something most people don't know. Friday almost didn't happen because nobody believed in it. The script was making rounds in Hollywood, and studio after studio passed. The feedback was always the same. It's too niche. Where's the action? Comedy doesn't sell tickets in this market. Executive after executive couldn't see the vision. Then New Line Cinema stepped in with an offer that was both a blessing and a curse. They'd fund the movie, but with conditions that would test everyone involved. The budget was microscopic. We're talking about pocket change by Hollywood standards. They had to shoot in just a few weeks. And most challenging of all, they had specific ideas about casting that would create drama nobody saw coming. Do you think low budgets actually help or hurt creative projects? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to know your take on this. But New Line's most controversial demand involved the character of Smokey. Originally written with a specific actor in mind, the studio pushed for someone completely different. This decision would launch one career into the stratosphere and create a rift that still affects the franchise today. And speaking of that casting decision, what happened during those auditions will absolutely blow your mind. The audition process that nearly broke hearts. The search for Smokey became legendary in Hollywood, but not for the reasons you'd expect. Ice Cube had a clear vision. He wanted someone who could balance comedy with authenticity, someone who felt like they actually belonged in the neighborhood. Dozens of actors auditioned. Some were too polished. Others couldn't find the humor. Most just didn't have that spark that makes a character memorable. Then Chris Tucker walked in. Now, here's what's incredible. Chris Tucker almost didn't get the part. His first audition was reportedly a disaster. He was nervous, overthinking every line, trying too hard to impress instead of just being natural. Cube and the casting directors were ready to move on. But Angela Means, who was cast as Felicia, saw something special in Tucker. Behind the scenes, she convinced him to relax, to trust his instincts, to bring that natural energy that would later make him famous. His second audition? Pure magic. What's your favorite Chris Tucker moment from the movie? Drop your picks in the comments. We're curious which scenes hit hardest for you. But Tucker's casting created an unexpected problem that would eventually tear the franchise apart. The chemistry between him and Ice Cube was perfect on screen, but behind the cameras, creative differences were already brewing. And those differences would explode in ways that shocked everyone involved. But first, let me tell you about what really happened on set. On set, magic and mayhem. Filming Friday was unlike anything most of the cast and crew had experienced. The budget was so tight that they had to get creative with everything. No fancy trailers, no catered meals, no second chances if equipment broke. But something beautiful happened in that environment. The cast became a real family. Ice Cube, despite being the star and co-writer, was cracking jokes between takes. Chris Tucker was improvising lines that would become iconic. The supporting cast, many making their film debuts, were supporting each other like veterans. Some of the movie's best moments weren't even scripted. That natural chemistry you see? That's because they were genuinely enjoying each other's company. The neighborhood they filmed in embraced the production, with real residents becoming part of the background atmosphere. Regina King brought a professionalism that elevated everyone around her. Tommy "Tiny" Lister's intimidating presence as Debo was perfectly balanced by his gentle nature off-camera. And newcomers like Nia Long were absorbing every lesson they could from the more experienced actors. But what nobody knew at the time was that they were also filming during a period of real neighborhood tension, and some of the incidents that happened during production would later inspire scenes in the sequels. The success that changed lives forever. When Friday hit theaters, nobody was prepared for what happened next. This little comedy that studios didn't believe in became a cultural phenomenon. It wasn't just a movie anymore. It was a language. "Bye, Felicia," entered the vocabulary. The characters became archetypes that people recognized in their own neighborhoods. The film proved that audiences were hungry for this different perspective on Black life, one that included joy, humor, and humanity alongside the struggles. Chris Tucker's career exploded overnight. Ice Cube established himself as not just a rapper or actor, but a filmmaker with vision. The supporting cast found doors opening that had been closed before. What's the most quotable line from Friday, in your opinion? We want to know which quotes you still use in everyday conversation. But success brought an unexpected problem. Pressure. Everyone wanted a sequel immediately. Studios were offering big money. Fans were demanding more Craig and Smokey adventures. However, what happened next would create a feud so bitter that it would take decades to resolve, and the real reasons behind it are more shocking than anyone imagined. The feud that broke fans' hearts. Here's where the story takes a heartbreaking turn. The success of Friday should have been cause for celebration and easy sequel planning. Instead, it created a rift between Ice Cube and Chris Tucker that would define both their careers and disappoint millions of fans. The official story was always about money. Tucker wanted more for the sequel. Negotiations broke down. They moved forward without him. But the real story is much more complicated and much more personal. Chris Tucker had become a born-again Christian between the first movie and sequel discussions. He wasn't comfortable with some of the content in Friday anymore. The drug use, the language, the situations that had made the character of Smokey so memorable. He wanted the sequel to reflect his new values. Ice Cube, on the other hand, felt that changing the formula would betray what made the original special. These weren't just creative differences. They were fundamental disagreements about responsibility, artistic integrity, and personal growth. Do you think actors should compromise their personal beliefs for franchise continuity? This is a tough one. Let us know where you stand in the comments. The situation got more complicated when Tucker's career took off with the Rush Hour franchise. Suddenly, he was commanding huge fees and had his pick of projects. The window for a Friday sequel with the original cast kept getting smaller. But the most tragic part of this feud isn't what it meant for the franchise. It's how it affected the people involved personally, and what we lost along the way is truly heartbreaking. The tragic losses that haunt the franchise. Success in Hollywood often comes with a dark side that fans never see. For many of the Friday cast members, the years following the film's success were marked by personal tragedies that cast a shadow over the franchise's legacy. Tommy "Tiny" Lister, beloved as the intimidating Debo, passed away in 2020. His death shocked fans who remembered his gentle nature in real life, so different from his on-screen persona. He'd spent years talking about returning for a final Friday film, making his loss even more poignant. Anthony A.J. Johnson, who played Easel, died in 2021, taking with him one of the film's most memorable comedic performances. His family revealed that he'd been struggling financially despite the film's enduring popularity, a harsh reminder of how the industry often treats its contributors. Regina King faced her own devastating loss when her son took his own life in 2022. While not directly related to the franchise, it highlighted the personal struggles that actors face behind their public personas. These losses remind us that our favorite characters are played by real people with real struggles. How do you think we can better support the actors who bring us joy? Share your thoughts on this important topic. But perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect is how these losses have affected Ice Cube's vision for completing the franchise. Every delay means losing more of the original family that made Friday special. And speaking of delays, the battle to make a final Friday movie has been more dramatic than anything in the films themselves. The 30-year battle for the final chapter. For nearly 3 decades, Ice Cube has been trying to make one more Friday movie. Not for money. He's established enough that he doesn't need it. Not for fame. He's got that too. He wants to complete the story he started, to give fans the closure they deserve, and to honor the memory of cast members who are no longer with us. But Hollywood politics have made this seemingly simple project incredibly complicated. Rights issues, studio changes, scheduling conflicts with A-list actors, and the challenge of recapturing magic from nearly 30 years ago have created obstacle after obstacle. Warner Brothers has owned the rights for years, but getting green lights for sequels to comedies from the 90s isn't easy. The industry has changed. Comedy styles have evolved. What worked in 1995 might not work today, and studios are risk-averse. Ice Cube has written multiple versions of a script for Last Friday. He's pitched it countless times, bringing that same passion he had when trying to get the original made. But the business side of filmmaking keeps creating roadblocks. The most recent developments, though, have given fans more hope than they've had in years, and what's happening behind the scenes might surprise you. The breakthrough that changes everything. In 2023, something shifted. Warner Brothers, after years of hesitation, finally gave the green light for Last Friday. Ice Cube announced that the script was complete, the vision was clear, and production would finally move forward. But here's what's bittersweet. It won't be the same cast reunion fans have dreamed about for decades. Chris Tucker has confirmed he won't be returning. The same creative and personal differences that kept him away from the sequels remain unchanged. Instead, Ice Cube is crafting a story that honors the original while acknowledging the reality of time passing. Craig is older, the neighborhood has changed, and the new movie will reflect those changes authentically. The film is planned as a tribute to the cast members who have passed away, incorporating their legacy into the story in meaningful ways. It's not just a comedy anymore. It's a celebration of life, community, and the bonds that time can't break. Are you excited about Last Friday even without Chris Tucker, or do you think the franchise should have ended with the original? This is probably the most debated topic among fans, so let us know your honest thoughts. The cultural legacy that transcends film. Friday became more than entertainment. It became cultural shorthand. Bye, Felicia isn't just a movie quote. It's entered everyday language. The film's portrayal of neighborhood life influenced countless other movies and TV shows, but the deeper impact is in how it changed representation. Friday proved that Black stories didn't have to be tragic to be authentic. It showed that humor and humanity could coexist with social commentary. It opened doors for a different kind of storytelling that still influences filmmakers today. The movie also became a launching pad for careers in ways nobody expected. Not just the obvious success stories like Chris Tucker and Regina King, but crew members, supporting actors, and even some of the neighborhood residents who appeared in background scenes found new opportunities because of their connection to the film. Ice Cube's vision to show joy alongside struggle, to present complex characters who were more than stereotypes, to celebrate community bonds, succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. And that vision continues to influence new generations of filmmakers and audiences, proving that sometimes the smallest stories can have the biggest impact. The enduring power of community. Looking back at the Friday saga, from its unlikely creation to its cultural impact to the personal costs of success, what emerges is a story about the power of authentic storytelling and the importance of community. Ice Cube didn't just make a movie. He created a world that felt real because it was real. The laughter came from genuine experiences. The characters were people we recognized. The neighborhood was a place that felt like home, even if we'd never been there. The feuds, the tragedies, the struggles to continue the franchise. These are all part of the story, too. They remind us that behind every piece of entertainment we love are real people with real challenges, dreams, and limitations. Friday succeeded because it treated its characters and their community with respect and love. It found humor without mockery, authenticity without exploitation, and hope without ignoring reality. As we potentially approach the final chapter of Craig's story, it's worth remembering what made the original special. It was a love letter to a community, written by people who understood that community from the inside. If you enjoyed diving deep into the real story behind Friday, smash that like button and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories from your favorite movies. Hit the notification bell so you never miss when we uncover the secrets Hollywood doesn't want you to know. The legacy of Friday isn't just in its quotable lines or memorable characters. It's in proving that every community has stories worth telling, and that sometimes the most powerful message is simply showing people as they really are. Flawed, funny, and fundamentally human. Thank you for being part of our community. What kind of videos would you like us to make next? Let us know in the comments. See you on the next video.